Okay, welcome. Chapter 3, we're going to talk about creating and managing supplier relationships. They call this SRM. So it's kind of backwards in this title, which is the M is first, but it's Supplier Relationship Management is what we're going to talk about. All right. So strong supplier relationships are super important. We're going to do a little activity about win-win. And the old paradigm in supply chain management used to be yell at your suppliers, beat at them, tell them they have to give you price breaks, be mean to them, threaten to take your business somewhere else, and that's how you manage it. And we do not do that anymore. That is absolutely not the way SRM is conducted in these days. What we want to do now is look in that second bullet there, a mutual commitment over time to work together so that the supplier makes money and the buyer makes money. Everybody shares the risk, everybody shares the rewards. That is where we are. So the most important thing here on chapter 2 that we need to talk about is how you're going to build trust with your partners, your suppliers, and how you're going to make sure that they have the same visibility to the supply chain that you have. So a shared vision. So you're going to hear people call vendors or suppliers or partners, all those are the same words. So just want to let you know that. So it is people who communicate and make things happen. So if you're a salesperson, they will always tell you people don't buy from companies, people buy from people. And it's very true. You definitely want to negotiate so that everybody makes money. I am not here to tell the person who cuts my hair that I want her to cut my hair for $7. I know that she needs to charge more because I know that she is paying a light bill, she's paying rent, she's paying people to answer the phone and make the appointments, she's paying for the sinks and the chairs and the scissors and the shampoo and all the things it takes. In the same way, I don't expect for my car to cost $1,000 either because there's engineering that went into that. There is technology that went into it. Somebody had to invent that technology. We have to make the parts. Everybody should be making money along the way. I should get a good car that I can trust, that's safe, and that gets me where I want to go with the features that I am willing to pay for, and the company that sold me my car should make money. The most important thing to a good SRM program is making sure that the executives at the top of the company support it. If they do not, and they do not see value in SRM, it is destined to fail. Another thing that's very important in SRM is that you have to understand how you're going to communicate change, because what you're going to ask people to do is do business differently than the way that they've done it in the past. And if they don't understand why that's good for them and why it's good for the company and why it's good for the suppliers, they're not going to embrace the change. So change management is very, very important. Also, sharing information and making sure that there is a free flow of information both from the company to the customer and the other direction from the company to the suppliers. If I know, think about when the Super Bowl was in Houston a few years ago. If I know that the Super Bowl is coming and I have a restaurant or I have a bar, I should be communicating to my suppliers and they should be communicating to their suppliers a year in advance that I expect a drastic increase in business, because it means a lot of things. Maybe I need a larger credit line. Maybe I'm only allowed to buy $10,000 at a time and I need that to be changed. They need to look at my credit and I need to have either a temporary or a permanent credit increase. Maybe I need to have more frequent deliveries. If I do, they probably have to hire more drivers, maybe temporary, but they need to do it. So many things like that all need to be planned in advance. And if you're not communicating with your supply base, they don't know that. And your suppliers have to have the technology and the capability to meet the things that you're going to ask them to do. And you're going to measure them. And so one of the things that I always tell people in this class is that if I'm trying to lose weight, every day, if I look at the length of my fingernails, that's not telling me how I'm doing, right? I'm measuring something, but I'm not measuring the right thing to tell me if I've been successful losing weight or not. I need to weigh myself, right? So you can't improve what you don't measure. You need to measure the right things. So that second bullet says metrics should be understandable, easy to measure, and focused on value-added results. So we talked in chapter 2 about TCO. So TCO is total cost of ownership. So you need to think about the fact that if you buy a really, really giant 25-foot Christmas tree for your business and you put it up at the holiday time, at some point you have to store it. So would it be better to rent an expensive Christmas tree and just pay for the part of it that you need because you're only going to have it up in December and then you wouldn't have to store it and use up valuable warehouse space? Or is it worth it to go ahead and buy it? There's a lot of things that go into the cost of TCO. I talked to you last time about the Lamborghini. So an oil change is more for a Lamborghini or a Ferrari than it is for a Chevy, right? Or for a Toyota. So you have to think about how much it's going to cost you to own it over time. It's how much it costs to buy it, which is acquisition, but how much it costs to use it, maintain it over time. So continuous improvement, we're going to talk about a bunch in the quality chapter, but I want to talk to you about what this means. Continuous improvement is, I want to lose 10 pounds. I'm going to start walking. I'm going to walk a little bit the first day. I'm going to walk a little bit more the next day. It's making a series of small improvements over time. It's not saying I'm going to walk into my manufacturing floor and I'm going to sell every piece of equipment I have and I'm going to buy all new stuff. It's basically saying I'm going to try to make my quality a little bit better. I'm going to try to buy at a little bit better price. I'm going to try to get a slightly better price from the person who trucks it to my warehouse for me. All those things over time are going to make me more profitable. So continuous improvement, some people call it CI, is small improvements over time, never stopping, always continuing to make improvements. It's what you want from your suppliers. So as you monitor your relationships with your suppliers, that's what you should be asking them about. What is your continuous improvement plan? A lot of people certify their suppliers. They have a process. You can also use a framework from the ISM, the Institute for Supply Management. You can do that. So you need to understand, sometimes people do it informally and sometimes people do it formally. This is usually the criteria that people use to do it. This is a lot of words, but I'll tell you the most important things that you need to know is the center bullet here, ISO 9000, Q9000, or 14000. So we'll talk about 9000 and 14000 in this class. They are both on your test. 9000 is about having processes to make sure that you have an easy way to do the same jobs over and over. How do I issue a PO? How do I build this part? How do I make sure that every haircut that I do is done properly and that everyone gets shampooed and conditioned and rinsed the same process for each person? 14,000 is more about the environment, and I'll talk to you a little bit about that later in this chapter. So the weighted criteria evaluation system, I'm going to show you a slide on the next, or show you an example on the next slide here. So what this says is, it's very important to me that the product has high quality. So out of 100 points, 40% of the points will go for quality. 20% of the points are going to go to other things, supply corrective action, which is what a SCAR is, supplier corrective action reports. Parts per million is defects, how ppm is defects. You don't need to know what these things stand for. You just need to understand that what I've said here is that there's different things that are important to me for different reasons. So if I say that the technology is important to me and the quality is important to me, but responsiveness is the single most important thing to me, then what that means is that I want to be certain that responsiveness gets the most weight. So if I rate all those and then I show you that the most important thing from the weight column is quality, if I get a high score on that, then that adds up. And this allows me to compare other suppliers. So this is on your test, but ISO 9000, some people say ISO, some people say ISO, it doesn't matter. ISO 9000 is about quality. ISO 14000 is about the environment. You need to understand the difference between the two. They're both internationally recognized certifications that you can apply for and earn, and then you are audited on a frequent basis to make sure that you're continuing to maintain those processes. If you have new suppliers that you want to develop over time, this is some things that you can do to do supplier development. I did not put this on your test, but this is just some information for you about how you can put together a supplier development program. Another thing that people do a lot is supplier recognition. So you might see if you go into a lobby of a manufacturing, they might show that they were somebody's supplier of the year or things like that. My company does this as well. It's a way to recognize the achievement of your best suppliers and encourage them to continue to high performance. You don't need to know the difference between transactional and analytic SRM, but you just definitely need to know that SRM is supplier relationship management, and it's working on making the processes and the conversations, the communication between the buyer and the supplier as efficient as possible, usually using some kind of software. This is on your test. These are fill in the blanks. The orange words are the answers to the question. So you need to know automation is about making sure that things that are done over and over and over are done without human intervention. If I order paper towels every week to supply my factory floor and keep things clean, or if I need to send my uniforms out every week to be cleaned for my staff, that should be done it should just happen automatically. Integration means that I'm talking to the people that are talking to the planners, the buyers, the people in manufacturing, people in the warehouse, the people in the quality team. Everybody's going back and forth, and all that is talking through software, so we all have the same information, which leads to 3, visibility. Everyone who needs access to information about what's coming and what's expected from an order standpoint, etc., has that. Collaboration is how everybody is going to work together because they have the same information, and what that leads to is an optimization of processes and decision making. We make the best decisions and we have the most streamlined process if we optimize our communication. Here's a couple of examples of some software that you may hear about. EC Vision isn't as popular anymore. JDA is very popular. Oracle's popular, and SAP is the market leader. So these people all make SRM software. All right, so this is the final slide of this chapter. The benefits that are derived from automating procurement is generally the most important one is cost savings. And then greater visibility from using SRM gives you better processes, faster cycle time. So cycle time means how long from the time you find out about something until it's finished, regardless of what that something is, the need to place an order, the need to fulfill an order, the need to do an inspection if you're in quality, whatever it may be. How quickly can you get that done? How quickly can we get products out to the market so we can get them to our customers? How quickly can we get our products developed? So if we need to make a change or if we need to make an improvement, how quickly can we get purchases done? And then how much inventory can we have as reduced as possible? So we're going to talk about that too. You don't want to have 10 boxes of cereal in your pantry. They're not going to go bad, but you don't want to store them. They take up too much room. So we want to have as little inventory as we can have, but we don't want to run out of anything. So that's about reducing inventory costs. All right, we're going to move on now to chapter 4.